Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I am riding this motorcycle which happens to be the Kawasaki Vulcan S. Alright, okay, this is the key of this motorcycle and it's a nice looking key. As you can see, it has all the cruiser elements. Of course, the pegs are front set and it has a real long wheelbase. You get an underbelly exhaust over there and the tire size is different both at the front, at the rear. When I'm saying size, I'm not talking about width, I'm talking about the size in terms of inches. So this is an 18-inch over here and there's a 17-inch at the rear. Now of course this is done because it's a cruiser motorcycle, so it's a 160 section at the rear and it is a 120 section at the front. These are Dunlop tires and it gets Nissan calipers, ABS both at the front as well as the rear, and of course it looks like a cruiser in every possible way. So you get a scooped out seat and the pillion seat isn't bad at all. It is also very comfortable. So this is to hold on to grab rails, are big and chunky because you can mount your luggage over here when you go for longer journeys. No LEDs on this motorcycle other than the fact that the brake light is an LED. Now these indicators kind of feel dated, and over here you get a massive sari guard. Look at the size of the sari guard. Isn't it massive? Well, fit finish is really nice on this machine, and look at the perforation on this seat. Very nice and comfortable seat as such. The tank is really very long and the handlebar is pulled back as well. So over here, as you can see, this motorcycle has decent amount of ground clearance other than the fact that the exhaust is kind of low, which kind of touches, and ABS written over here. Forks are decent size as well. Now the front headlight is a hate it or love it feeling because the shape isn't really in line with cruisers which usually get a round light. Now this has a different sort of a shape and it doesn't get any LED either, which is kind of disappointing. Light throw isn't that great at night either. The mirrors have a weird shape, sort of like a sandwich, but they give a decent view of what's behind. It gets a hazard light switch and there's the piano black touch over here on the switches. Now this is for the indicator, this is for low beam, high beam. There's a pass by switch over here and this is the engine kill switch, just to start the motorcycle, and it gets adjustable levers as well, so you can adjust the levers according to how you want them, both the brake as well as the clutch lever. Now let's quickly turn on this motorcycle. So there it goes, does a full swipe. Now this cluster is similar to the one which we have seen on the ER6N, and as you can see it gets an analog tachometer, telltale lights over here, and gear position indicator is over here. Now it gets a speedometer over here, a fuel meter over here, there's an odometer, and it gets twin trip meters as well. It will tell you real-time mileage as well, average fuel efficiency to 19.9 kilometers per liter, range on the current fuel, as well as a clock over here. So nice cluster, definitely easy to read, but could have been a little bit more funky. It kind of feels dated already. So let's quickly turn on this motorcycle. It's a neutral and here it comes to life. So I'll just show you the headlight. Well, it's not really very powerful. Yeah, that is the headlight, and you can see the hazards are blinking because I've turned it on right now. Let's quickly go behind to show you the brake light. Now this is the brake light. So let's quickly rev this engine and yeah, it does rev. Obviously, because there's a secret behind this engine which I'll tell you once we get riding. So let's go. Alright, we are all set to go. Revving the motor and off we are. Now it wheel spins a little bit, and a cruiser motorcycle which rides at 9,500 RPM crosses 102nd gear itself, and the performance is really punchy. Yes, this motor pulls like crazy, and the best thing about this motorcycle is the refinement. It feels really very refined, but it reaches its red line pretty fast. So 9,500 RPM is the rev limit, and it comes in a flash as well. Brakes offer really very good stopping power as well. So dual channel ABS, and the gearbox, although little heavy, offers smooth shifts. And once you get the hang of this motorcycle and once you're up to pace, it really flicks through very comfortably as such. So let's get in from over here, and here we are. I mean, no stress at all. Yeah, now at lower speeds it feels quite heavy. The front is heavy, the handlebar is also on the heavier side, and the riding position is not really the one which is suited to all kind of riders. Now the seat height is low, so this is more towards shorter riders. However, the good thing about this motorcycle is the fact that it has something known as ergo fit seat, so you can adjust the seat height. Basically these are accessories you have to buy for the seat height, for the foot peg positioning as well as the handlebar positioning. and some of them can be very expensive, but you can get your perfect riding position on this motorcycle. And because it's a cruiser, I'm just feeling like upshifting around 6000 rpm, but its peak torque comes in around 6750 rpm. Now Kawasaki has obviously revised this engine. Now this is a 649cc parallel twin unit which produces 61 horsepower and 63 newton meters of torque. It sounds really nice, but only to the rider. It doesn't have the rumble of a cruiser motorcycle, so people around you won't really notice that you're gunning the motorcycle or making a lot of noise. Now typically cruisers produce a lot of power and torque lower down the rev range, and Kawasaki has of course tuned this motor to produce a lot of punch around 2000 rpm, so it feels very punchy compared to the other motorcycles which also use this engine, like the Ninja 650 of course, and the Versys 650 and the Z650 or the ER6N. Basically when this motorcycle was made or launched, that time there was the ER6N, there was no Z650. Now the ER6N has been discontinued. As you can see, performance is really nice and punchy, and it feels really good in the mid-range as well. But compared to a typical cruiser, you have to rev the motor a lot. Actually, you have to rev the nuts out of this motor to get going quickly. It doesn't have as much punch lower down because, like I told you, peak torque comes in at 6750 rpm. Meanwhile, in other motorcycles, other cruiser motorcycles, especially the Harley Davidson Street 750, peak torque comes in under 4000 rpm, although slightly lesser peak torque, but it absolutely feels more erratic and fun. But this one, yeah, you have to gun it a lot. Especially riding a motorcycle in the top end doesn't make really much sense. I'm talking about cruiser motorcycle, not just any motorcycle. This isn't a sporty motorcycle, but Kawasaki makes a lot of sporty motorcycles, and thus the power and torque being produced is very high in the rev range. Now in the city, the best thing about this motorcycle is it doesn't heat up like other motorcycles. And over there, as you can see, there's someone with a Manza, and there is the Motorbeam logo. Now I have driven this car, I know whose car it is. It's Aditya's. I think Aditya's dad is in the car, so I won't stop them. Let's get vlogging right away. So punchy performance from this engine, feels really nice, and there are a little bit vibration, but overall refinement is just brilliant. It feels so good. I mean, this is how an engine should be: extremely refined, extremely punchy, and of course not disturbing others around you because it is smooth. It gives you the rumble, but it doesn't disturb people around you. That's the best thing about this machine. Here we go, hard onto the throttle, and there is a lot of wind blast. Now 0 to 100 kilometers per hour takes 6.5 seconds. Top speed is around 180 kilometers per hour, but post 160 kilometers per hour you lose the confidence to push it hard and fast because the front end kind of feels loose. Now of course it has a lot of suspension travel because it is a cruiser motorcycle, and ride quality is just brilliant. It is fantastic. Alright, now brakes always impress me. There is good amount of stopping power, but the feel at the levers could have been slightly better, and there is some nosedive as well. Close to 10,000 rpm red line, and there is no traction control, so if you launch aggressively it will kind of wheel spin. And of course you can do a power wheelie on it as well because this engine is very potent in the mid-range. It all of a sudden gives you a lot of performance, so that's a really good thing about this motorcycle. I love the engine, and I've always been a fan of Kawasaki engines, no denying that fact, but in terms of ride and handling balance, they have nailed it as well. It feels so good to ride. This is one of the rare cruiser motorcycles which doesn't make you uncomfortable at stop and go traffic situations, and overall performance is very good. Now the thing is that they have got a very good ride and handling balance. It uses a perimeter frame, and it's a steel frame, so it is just fantastic in terms of handling for a cruiser motorcycle. It tips into corners with ease, other than the fact that at low speed there's slight amount of difficulty in maneuvering this motorcycle. Otherwise it just feels so good to ride, and even at higher speeds it remains glued to the road. It's just past 160 kilometers per hour. The front end feels kind of loose for my liking, and the overall softer suspension setup means that you really can't push this motorcycle hard and fast over bad roads because it can get to your back. Otherwise the ride quality is very good on this machine. So Kawasaki has done a great job, although I miss a slipper clutch. A slipper clutch should have been there because it tends to slip its wheels if you aggressively downshift. And this gearbox, the 6-speed unit, is very smooth, I would say, but slightly on the heavier side, and the clutch is also on the heavier side, and you cannot do clutchless shifts. It just doesn't support it either. See, it is so easy. I love an analog tachometer. It is so much fun. Anyways, so should you buy one? Now the Vulcan S is priced at rupees 6.78 lakhs on road Mumbai, which kind of makes it expensive than the Harley Davidson Street 750. But remember one thing, it is way better a motorcycle than the Harley. It doesn't heat up, It has a very good engine, it's reliable, and most importantly it's easy to ride as well. Punchy performance, it's fast, and overall I would give it a big fat thumbs up. It is such a great motorcycle. So guys, if you like this video, you know what you have to do. Give it the thumbs up, that's the like button, and also subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next video real soon. Bye.